waste all my time waiting for a sign. I eat and smoke, I've no job, no friends. I never even have a girl, and I throw my tears away in mine. Well, look at me now, but just look at me now. Can you see what's left of what I am? Giving up the way that led me here. Look at me now, but just look at me now. Now I think it's time for me to wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time to face it. Get up, get up, get up. Give up my weakness. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time to get up, get up, get up, get up. And I am just a lost man in this life where I don't belong. I cannot see, I cannot feel anything. I spend so much time to cry.
Ouvre les yeux et retrouve en toi de quoi t'animer, te réinventer. Loin des temps perdus, il est temps d'avancer, de cicatriser et de réaliser qu'on a tant de choses à vivre. N'abandonne pas.
Walking on the street and trying to figure it out.
Il reste encore du temps, tant de rêves à accomplir. Projette-toi.
Standing all alone, I am just so
Il
tired.
reste
Encore du temps. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time to face it. Get up, get up, get up. Give up my weakness. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time to get up, get up, get up, get up. And I am just a lost man in this life where I don't belong. I cannot see, I cannot feel anything. I spend so much time to cry. If I'm alive, why I'm in hell, I have to try. If I'm alive, what if I try?
et je m'enfuis.
To start to shine.
Et puis j'oublie.
Do I try? What if I try? I am just a lost man in this life where I don't belong. I cannot see, I cannot feel anything. I spend so much time to cry. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I think that I'm alright. I think I'm not so tired. I just feel the pressure of that thing that I have in mind. I wanted peace, I wanted to be fine. I wonder why I cannot just sit for a while. I really want to see what it looks like. To have a moment I knew that would be mine. When the windows are all closed, like a picture of a time. When the future is the hole you're looking for. Save me from everything. Tell me where to find my way. I'm just looking for something I can make in another day. 'Cause I'm falling down, fading away. 'Cause I'm falling down. This is what I know, I just keep running. I was working fast and hard, never thinking about now. Believing I'm happy thanks to all the things that I have to try. I wanted peace,
Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times, as represented by 5 times more singers. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Thanks for listening to Spotify. No, really. You could have listened to the radio. You could have spun some vinyl. You could have played a cassette tape. You could have listened to an 8-track tape. If you knew what an 8-track tape looked like. But you listened to Spotify. Thanks for that. And you still have hundreds more playlists to enjoy.
As our nation battles COVID-19, every job in a medical facility is critical. Join the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, housekeeping, food service, supply techs, and other support staff. These people help save lives in medical centers, outpatient clinics, and community living centers. We're hiring in every state, and we've made the process faster. Will you join us on the front line? Visit va.gov/join us to find out how.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 2 of the Xbox Pro League Racing Clio Cup. It will be here at the beautiful Silverstone International in the United Kingdom. It should be a fairly interesting race, to say the least. The cars that are being ran in this series are not the easiest to control. Currently, we are on standby and getting ready to head to the track here for qualifying. We will have a 10-minute qualifying session followed up by a 20-minute race to follow that. BSK, I'm sorry, this is not the place for a lot of self-promotion. That wasn't something you knew, so I'm not going to say anything about it this time. But this is going to be the commentary stream for this race. That way, everyone who isn't taking part can keep up with the action, and isn't meant to be a place for everyone to come on and plug their own channels. It doesn't matter who it is. I do apologize. Again, this is not a self-promotion stream, but we are getting ready to head to the track here at any moment. I do believe we may be waiting on one more person to join. But here at Silverstone International, in these cars, we are looking at an average lap time anywhere from the 115s to 116s. So we should get anywhere from 17 to 18 laps worth of racing in here. Hopefully we'll see some good battles. Again, these cars are very difficult to control, coming with next to non-existent downforce. Does mean we are going to see a lot of throttle lift oversteer, especially through some of the faster corners, which means that we could see some potential problems caused in turns 1, 6, and 9 for this track. The question is, who's going to be able to come off and deal with the handling quirks of this car to bring it back safely and win this race? I can see chat is lighting up. It is good to see everyone here. Hopefully you all are going to enjoy the action that is coming to you. We are getting the final racer in here as we speak, and then we are going to be heading to track. We are going to go ahead and get voted to start. That way everything is ready and set up. But let us pull up the current standings here for this series. That way we can get up to date with everything that is going on. We just finished up with round 1 the other week, and currently we have FPR Crave 78 in the lead, followed by MRT Boris in second, and DOA Silty coming in to round out the top 3. So those are going to be our 3 favorites for this race. I don't know why I'm now being nominated as the race director, but okay. Face cam, you won't know. I won't for this one because this is not a face cam kind of stream. All the action is not meant to be on my face. All the action is meant to be on what these drivers are doing on track. So we are loading into the race here. Again, FPR Crave 78, MRT Boris, and DOA Silty, the 3 favorites coming into this race with the current points lead, having the 3 top spots in the championship currently locked down. However, Tidier Mosquito, Smithies, and C5 WNE not too far off of them. So far, this has been a fairly dominant British lockout, unsurprisingly, with most of the drivers in this series coming from across the pond. So we will have to see how this goes, with this being the home race for all of them. At least if we ever finish loading into this event. Maybe, possibly, hopefully? Only time will tell. But you can see the track map there on the right side of the screen. A very small layout compared to what you're used to seeing for some of the bigger series that are held within sim racing and within the real world, this track being only a part of the full Silverstone track layout that includes both the national and international layouts. You can see what I'm talking about with turns 1, right there at the start, turn 6 ending off sector 2, and turn 9, which is located right there at the beginning of the start-finish straight, both of these being very, very fast and long corners that you have to have extremely precise braking and throttle control if you're going to get these kinds of cars around them without losing the back end. That could be something that we see a lot of issues with the drivers facing when it comes to this race. Unlisted, welcome. How are you doing? We are currently getting loaded in here for qualifying, and we are into qualifying. Now we are going to see drivers beginning to come out onto track. Right now, Tidier Mosquito coming out for his first outlap in quali. Again, the drivers have 10 minutes. And we're off to a good start. And oh no, it looks like we are having some connection issues here. I am not entirely sure what just happened. Luke, what is going on? Chaos, why are you calling me? Daddy, please, just... No. No. No, God. Okay, and we are getting everything set back up. It does look like we were having some connection issues there with the event when it got started. That would explain why we had a bit longer of a load-in time for qualifying, but we should be able to get into it and go for it after this. Luckily, I showed up. I don't know, Golf. I'm not sure about that one. It seems like you showed up, everyone went off the handle, and then the game died. So it looks like we've got a wild crowd in the chat today for this event. Again, hopefully everyone will enjoy all the action. It should be some fairly good racing. We have some technically difficult cars to drive around a track that does not favor their strengths all that well. Hopefully we can see some really good battles coming out of these drivers. I know quite a few of them have put in a good amount of prep coming into this event. Luckily I showed up, only mod on duty. Yes, this is very true, because I am not going to be able to be focused on the chat nearly as much for this event, hopefully. For if that is the case, it means we have some good racing going on, which is what I'm currently expecting from these drivers. Okay, guys, we are going to settle down here for just a minute while we get everyone back into this lobby and ready to go once again. That way we can hop off into quali and get through it with any amount of luck. So, one final time, our current points leader for this series after round 1 is FPR Crave 78, followed up by MRT Boris and DOA Salty to round out the top 3 of our points leaders currently in this championship. However, this is again only after 1 round of racing, so anything can happen in the remaining rounds within the series. We could very easily see one of the other drivers come back to make an upset and take points away from those guys. It should be noted that points are only awarded to the top 10 drivers in this series, so it is even more important that a driver gets a good finish, because it is possible to be pushed out of getting any points whatsoever within any given race. And that will open up a lot of opportunities for some of the competitors to begin to poke holes in any leads that may be gained and start to pull back and claw points away from those drivers who get caught out with a bit of bad luck or on an off race day. We should be seeing the final few coming in as we speak, and then we will be heading to track. Until then, though, I will see all you guys once we are there for qualifying. So how's your day going? The day is going fairly good. Again, still waiting on the final things we need to be able to implement the fix to the internet. So I'm not sure how the stream is going to hold up. Hopefully it holds up well. That way we are able to see some good action here on the track and things don't get overly choppy. We are going to go ahead and hop on board here with Tidier Mosquito You can see the drivers on their outlaps. One driver going in very, very wide there through turn 3. All drivers just trying to find some heat into their tires. However, sticking this close to each other for qualifying is a bit of a risk. It can wind up giving you some great bonuses to your speed if you can get decent draft down the straights. However, it also does mean that you run into the opportunity for a battle. We can see Tidier Mosquito, a little bit of throttle lift oversteer. They're going through turn 6. Now running through 7 and 8, that chicane up to 9. Again, one of the other places where drivers could have an issue if they find themselves needing to lift off for whatever reason through that corner. And back up to turn 1 for his first flying lap. You can see just a little bit of a slide there for Tidier Mosquito through turn 1. Part of what I'm talking about when I say these cars have a lot of throttle lift oversteer. Coming with no aero on them does mean that whenever you lift off and go onto the brakes, you will shift all of that weight back up to the front end with nothing to help hold the rear stable on the ground, and you are going to get loose quite a lot if you are not careful. You can see a train of 3 drivers there making runs down the back straight up towards turn 6, another potential hazard point for the drivers on the track. All 3 of them managed to make it through, although the tail of that train you can see falling off a little bit. Probably the best place to be. And we are going to come through and start seeing some lap times being set by the drivers. And Tidier Mosquito is going to bring it in with the provisional pole. However, that is quickly taken away from him by MRT Boris, who manages to set a 1:15.1, 4/10 quicker than Mosquito in second. We can jump back. We can see our current points leader, FPR Crave, 78, currently sitting 7/10 off of the pole time. This may not seem like too much. However, if that is a consistent time across every lap, that will begin to add up. But that is where consistency over speed will still reign king. You can see as Crave comes into turn 6, his car getting just a little loose initially, having to use a bit of counter steer to try and keep it stable, try and keep it steady. And he is going to come through to set his second lap time. Is it going to be an improvement? No, it is not. Oh, yes, it is a 1:14.3. However, then Boris setting a 1:14.0 once again to take back that pole time. You can see pole time here being traded off back and forth by these drivers. Again, just an amazing showing of skill, how they are handling the cars. But most of these drivers currently not trying to get into any kind of a battle on track in qualifying. They know that is going to lose them some time. We are going to hop on board here and see what Boris does. He is coming up to the back of another driver. Nice and easy there through turn 6, trying to keep a hold of the back end. Very beautifully controlled. We can see down there race feed. C5WNE having his lap time invalidated twice due to track limits. Very rough to have to try and fight against, especially in a quali as short as this. We can see a driver stepping to the right and slowing down to let Boris by. No one wants to be the person who holds up the faster driver and ruins their time. A great showing of courtesy amongst the drivers. We are on board here with Blade Runner. We can see him tucked in right behind another car. Again, good because you can sit back and get a little bit of draft going around the track. However, that does mean he could get into some battles. Luckily, with these cars not being massively aero dependent, it does mean that the effect of dirty air will be minimized. However, we can see Blade Runner going very wide, under braking into turn 3, taking a compromised line to the middle due to his leading car being slower out of turn 2 and holding up that outside line on him. However, he is going to break through and find his way alongside there. Let us go ahead and hop down with C5WNE. We can see he is coming up to the back of a group of cars here. This could be challenging for him. He risks either staying behind and not trying to fight and possibly getting held up. Oh, as one of the cars gets tapped and begins to go around through turn 7. You can see there on the race feed, Tidier Mosquito really beginning to push the car, trying to find any amount of time that he can. Lap time being invalidated consistently. A very, very difficult thing to suffer from when you're trying to eke out that final 10th. Let us move around to get some more shots and see what 5 is able to do on this lap. You can see through 1 and 2 getting a little loose. The back end of his car escaping him just a bit. However, he did manage to keep it quick and clean to get ahead of that group that he was coming up to the back of. Hopefully that will allow him just enough space to make up some time and pick up a few positions on here. We can see him currently sitting with a 1:18.6, and he needs to find multiple seconds if he wants to try and get towards any of those top positions in qualifying. So far, it is looking like turn 9 not being much of a threat to these cars, with them being able to carry it flat out, and C5 able to pick up an extra 3 seconds there on his lap, moving to hold a 1:15.1, only 1.1 off of the current leader, which is still Boris. So far, the times for those top 2 not increasing at all. So we could see them starting in that position. We are to the final minutes of qualifying remaining in this session. Let us hop on board here with the final driver that C5 managed to jump, RXF1. Right now, taking hard braking zone, coming into turn 7 and 8. It looks like getting a little loose, turning into 7 through that chicane. Hard braking zones, not easy to manage in most cars. Definitely not in these Clios with that back end wanting to lift up and begin to turn around. You can see again that throttle lift oversteer picking up and taking the back end of that car around just a little bit. And qualifying is now complete. All of these drivers will be coming through to cross the line for the final time. You can see up there, second place, Crave just managing to improve on his time. Daddy Come Back, I'm not sure what you are talking about, and I'm not sure who you think Daddy is, but Daddy is currently not here. Hopping back on board with RX F1, we can see him yet again coming up to the final chicane, turns 7 and 8, leading onto the run. Back towards the start-finish straight to finish up his final qualifying lap. Will it be an improvement? No, it will not. He will be starting up in 6th place. So it seems that our current leader board is going to look like Boris starting up in 1st with Crave next to him to finish out the front row. Smithies will bring home 3rd place with Roscoe following up in 4th. C5 WNE coming in 5th with RX F1 beside him in 6th. Tidier Mosquito bringing up 7th with Blade Runner in 8th. DOA Silty in 9th with Hate PNE 84 coming up in 10th. WATP Ranger bringing in 11th with Gamer Pudsey in 12th. Maverick in 13th. And we are getting ready here for the start of this race. Let us hop on board. We are going to start this out with Crave. Let us get on to this roof cam to get a look at what this start is going to be. Crave being stuck on the inside for this start. Again, how will these drivers manage to control their cars as they are going through some of these faster corners? Oh, and Crave a little slow to start. Boris getting a very good start and managing to pull out ahead of the pack just a little bit. Smithies able to get the jump on Crave just through that start alone and is going to challenge him for 2nd place heading into turn 3. Smithies on the outside. There's a little contact between the two of them, it looks like, but Crave just able to hold on to 2nd place. Let us hop back on board down the order. With C5, we can see him there. He has been overtaken by Tidier Mosquito. Mosquito not having a good start with his qualifying and being down the order, but quickly looking to come back and make up positions in this race. Mosquito's beginning to pull a bit of a gap towards C5 if we hop on board with him and go to some of these rotating off-board trackside cameras. We can see C5 looking to take it up the inside, a little contact coming out of turn 9, but he will just be able to get the edge on Tidier Mosquito. Mosquito having to tuck in to try and go through turn 1 and find a way around, but gets blocked off on the exit and is now going to have Blade Runner making an attack on him. Tidier Mosquito just able to hold it off and finned to the inside and also try and pick up a position on C5. There is contact between Mosquito and C5 though. That is going to get Mosquito loose and off track, which will drop him back multiple positions there. We can see him falling down to 8th, maybe more. We can see Ranger behind Mosquito looking for the possibility of making an attack, but no, Mosquito able to get a good run through turn 6 and get an overtake done on Hate. Blade Runner now currently in front of him. Mosquito looking to come back and make up some of these positions that he just lost Our leaders coming on to lap 3 with the rest of the field trailing in behind them. Let us go on board to watch from driver view what it is Mosquito is doing. This is our inside view with the car. You can see Mosquito trying to carry more apex speed, more mid-corner speed than Blade Runner is. He is able to do it, but gets blocked off at apex, stays wide through turn 5, but cannot find the exit speed to make a move onto Blade Runner. We will stay on with Mosquito through turn 6 to see if he can do anything. Turn 6 has been a very strong corner for him, taking a very wide entrance and trying to carry as much overspeed as he can. Gets right onto the back bumper of Mosquito, and could we see a double dive here? Yes, we do. And oh, that is going to be RX F1 coming into the side of Tidier Mosquito. That is going to yet again drop him down positions to 9th. A very ambitious move there. Not enough room for him to get it done, though. Very unfortunate for Mosquito, who has been making some very hard charges. We can see both him and one other driver here, being Ranger, getting very wide through turn 1. Mosquito easily able to get that move on Ranger. We have RX F1 currently holding a penalty now in this race. A penalty or a penalty warning. So how will this affect his outcome? If he does get a little bit of a time penalty, he's going to need to perform better to try and keep himself above that cut line to lose a position to that. Oh, we can see Blade Runner behind him now suffering from the same issue. Either penalty or penalty warning. I'm not entirely sure which it is, as it is not showing either of them actually getting a penalty so far in this race. You can now see Blade Runner beginning to drop back. We have Ranger here, though, who is running we have Hate, who is running side by side with Ranger. Mosquito half a second back and quickly gaining a bad run through turn 1 for Hate, and we are going to see Mosquito make a move to the inside. Hate turns in hard, and that is going to see him collide with Mosquito. A little bit of desperation, it seems, getting to Mosquito, trying to make some very large passes, but not quite able to get in there in time to block off the possibility of that door being shut. We're going to hop on board up the order a little bit with C5. We can see him battling with RX F1 currently. Blade Runner not too far behind them. C5 manages to get the move done, but will F1 try and throw it back to him? Coming up to one of the coming turns. Just a little under half a second back, but it looks like with a better run, very slowly closing up a little bit of time on C5. And C5 able to keep more speed through turn 1 and slowly extend that gap back out. It is some very good, very hard racing we are seeing from all of these drivers currently. If we hop back on board with Blade Runner, you can see him trying to make up time to RX F1, but not currently able to. Let us check up on our leaders and see how we're doing. You can see Boris up there with an over 4.5 second lead on Crave, who is currently running in second. You can tell Boris definitely the dominant driver coming into this race, currently extending that lead to 5 seconds and climbing. and it looks like Smithy's beginning to catch up just a little bit. We will have to check up on these drivers a little later. Let us come up to Colesboro and see what the action at the back of the pack is currently looking like. Roscoe back there not having a great time in the race, a decent qualifying position, managing to qualify mid-pack, but not able to capitalize on that, and quickly having fallen down to the final position. Colesboro just out of a second away from FGTR Maverick. The question is, will he be able to make up that time and try and get a move done on the driver ahead of him? Let us hop forward to DOA Silty. Again, one of the people that is currently sitting at the top of the leaderboards after round one. You can see him not having a great race, currently sitting at the very bottom of the points paying positions. He is going to go for a dive on Haight, however, backs out at the last second and tucks back in behind, looking to try and possibly make a move from extra speed coming through the final turn. And he does have the speed. He is quickly gaining and will be side by side coming up towards turn one, but once again will back out and look to try and carry extra speed into him. We can see Silty there going for a dive, Haight giving him the room, sticking to the outside, and Silty will make that move stick through turn three. Great racing so far. He is now behind Tidier Mosquito, one of the people who is closely trailing him in the points standing so far. Let us hop up here on board. Tidier Mosquito again going for a move on Ranger. We will see him pull side by side out of 6 and just be able to get the move ironed out and solidified before going into the chicane of 7 and 8. That will see Tidier Mosquito up into 7th. We are going to hop on aboard here with C5, who is still battling it out with RX F1. These two going back and forth ever since the start of this race. Both of these drivers handling the cars beautifully. We can see not too many issues befalling anyone in the series so far, with massive throttle lift oversteer. And C5 thinking of going for a bit of a dive into 6, having a look, but then backing out, going on the brakes, and staying tucked in behind RX F1 as the night begins to fall with just a little under half this race remaining. 8 minutes and 30 seconds currently for these drivers to try and make any kind of moves on track to get any extra points eked out of this event that they can. We can see C5 was beginning to gain some time there onto RX. However, he is now beginning to lose some. Oh, but RX wide through turn 3. C5 just able to pull alongside. RX coming through hard to find the apex of that corner, almost chopping the nose off of C5, and that is going to leave C5 slow enough out of the corner that Blade Runner is going to get a run up the back straight towards turn 6 off of the back half of the hangar straight here. And exiting turn 6, we can see C5 trying to bring the attack back on the outside line. However, he then backs out of it and remains tucked in behind Blade Runner. And the lights beginning to come on for these drivers as the sun is beginning to fall down below the horizon here at Silverstone International. Coming up to turn 2, will we see a move by C5? No, he's going to go early onto the brakes and try and make his move with exit speed. It is not enough, and he will have to stay behind Tidier Mosquito there. Or he will have to stay behind Blade Runner there. My apologies, I did get those names mixed up. And we are on board here with Ranger. We can see just ahead of DOA Silty. Silty, a much better run through turn 5, though, will leave him side by side. Oh, and it looks like Ranger trying to squeeze him to the inside a little bit, but quickly returns to the outside for the racing line. Almost like a warning nudge to tell him, I am still here, and you will have to earn that position. Both of them remain side by side. You can see the night beginning to really come out in this race. I think we could see all the lights on these cars here very soon. Ranger just able to keep the position saved going through the turn 7 and 8 chicane and through the final turn of turn 9, but Silty pushing him through the entire complex of corners. Ranger a little bit of oversteer going through turn 1. That is going to slow him down a bit. However, Silty not able to get any kind of a run onto him going up towards the next turn of turn 3. We can see Silty darting around there looking for an opportunity to make a move. But no, Silty will not get the run he needs to immediately look for a move. You can see the final lights coming on there on Silty's car. Silty, though, sitting in the draft. He is going to begin to make some moves, and he's going to go for a dive up into turn 6. He is able to get it initially, but carries wide. Luckily, though, the same thing is said for Ranger, carrying wide and being blocked off, unable to fight back. Silty defensive into turn 7, and that is going to see him solidifying P8 for him as he tries to continue to chase down Tidier Mosquito. Hopping up ahead to Blade Runner, we can see him currently half a second off of C5 roughly. Again, our leaders not changing. Boris creating a constant gap to 78 to Prave, and Prave creating a constant gap to Smithy. So the real battle is going to be here for the wooden spoon. Who will be able to take the first non-podium position? You can see Blade Runner trying to make a move to the inside of turn 6, but it does not. No, he's not able to get it solidified just yet. He's going to be on the outside for turn 7. C5, though, squeezing him all the way out, and Blade Runner deciding to check up and squeeze in just behind C5. Absolutely amazing racing. You can see a lot of respect coming from all of these drivers to each other currently. Going through turn 1, who will get the advantage here? It looks like RXF1 pulling away and making a gap, but Blade Runner and C5 keeping each other level. RX a little wide through turn 3, though, and that is going to see the pack recondensed. Hopping back now momentarily here, we can see a mirror battle coming between Colesbro, Maverick, and Hate. And we are going to be almost 3 wide going into turn 6 here. Oh, and it's going to turn into a train. C5 just able to get the move done to the inside. He pulls out to the racing line. Coming out the biggest winner of that. No one is going to attack him for that position. Going into turn 7, we can see RX F1 there. Getting unlucky, caught on the outside. And then him and Blade Runner both getting checked up behind C5, who took a very wide exit through turn 6. Hopping back on to our mirror battle here at the back end of the field. We can see Maverick trying to find any way to get a move on Hate. Colesbro beginning to fall off of those two. We are down to our final minute and a half remaining in this race. If anyone is going to make a move, it has to be within the next 2 laps, because that could be all we get here in this race. And it looks like Maverick not able to find his way up and around Hate quite yet. Hopping back on board with RX. We can see C5 beginning to pull a bit of a gap to RX. And that is going to be Blade Runner making a move to the inside. RX squeezes him hard to the apex. It looks like a little bit of contact made between them. But now Blade Runner is going to try again to the inside of turn 9. Does not have the speed to carry through that position. We can see Silty now making his way up to Mosquito, but could it be just a little too late here? 30 seconds remaining in this race. Where is our leader? Our leader, it looks like, currently moving through, yes, turn 6. Will he make it back in time to ring one final lap here of this race? It does not look like he will, but it will be close. 4, 3, 2 remaining, 1 remaining. No, and that will be MRT Boris coming through to win round 2 of the Xbox Pro League Racing Clio Cup, followed by Crave, 78, and Smithies in 3rd. C5 is going to bring home a now comfortable 4th place. And it looks like Blade Runner coming in to take 5th, just able to get the move done on RX. And it was not too late. Silty able to take 7th and find his way past Tidier Mosquito there, who finishes up in 8th. Ranger bringing home 9th, and Hate coming back in 10th. And that will finalize our points paying positions for this event. However, further back behind him was Cole's Bro. And to finish it up is going to be Roscoe. An absolutely amazing show there from all the drivers. Some great hard racing on track. I have to say, it was an amazing drive there. Seeing the final. Okay. It was an amazing race there, seeing that final battle for 4th place between C5, Blade Runner, and RX. That 3-wide battle into turn 6, a already very dangerous turn to try and go through even just 2 wide or 1 wide in those cars, with throttle lift oversteer being a massive issue you have to contend with. Absolutely amazing race and amazing control from all of these drivers to be able to see them race that long and that hard. And the same thing can be said about our mirror battle that was going on further down the race between Maverick, Hate, and Coles. But with that, guys, I hope you did enjoy this race. Again, that was round 2 of the Xbox Pro League Racing Clio Cup at Silverstone International. I have been your commentator and presenter for this event. I've been Nightlock, and I'll see you all in the next one.